What's going on, guys? Today we're about to start playing Kompa from scratch. If you have no idea where to start, no idea what you're doing, I'm about to give you the introduction on how to get started playing Kompa on the piano. Stay tuned. We have an exciting lesson for you today.
Something that's good for me.
Okay, before we get started, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, guys. Listen, there's a lot in store in this lesson, especially if you're a beginner. Guys, one thing you have to understand is you can't just go to the piano and press any key and start soloing. It doesn't work out that way. I'm going to give you some quick fundamentals on what I keep in mind when I'm playing Kompa, how I approach the keyboard. Okay, guys, first things first, you hear the Kompa beat. What key are we playing in? It's in C. Listen, we're in the key of C. That course helps you identify the key and how to get into the whole Kompa process. But I'm gonna give you a crash course right now. Listen, we're in the key of C. The next thing you have to keep in mind, these things are very crucial or you cannot play Kompa at all. What are your chords? Or they like to say, what is the chord progression? Chord progression is the chords that repeat. Sometimes it's only 2 chords, sometimes it's only 4. We're gonna find out what are the 4 chords that's repeating in this groove. This is how you understand Kompa. Number 1, what is the key? Number 2, what is the chord progression? So we know we're playing in C. So C is our 1. C is our first note, our first chord, so we call it our 1. What's the next number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's the next number, guys? The next one is F. It's your 4. And guys, this only comes by learning how to play by ear, guys. You can't learn this any other way. So you have to train your ears on how to identify not only the key, but certain chords in that scale, certain notes in that scale. So what I like to do is hum. So after time and time of practice, and how do you learn this, guys? You keep practicing where the chords are in certain songs, and then you'll begin to hear it without even having to think twice, guys. So what's our next one is? So it's C, then F, then it's G, then it's F again. You see how we go to F twice? F is our passing chord between C and G, and between those two is F. So guys, listen, this is what they call the ende, the basic simple groove, guys. The 1-5 in Kompa or the 1-2, however you want to speak it, because you could do either groove you could play with either notes. So this is how you get started with Kompa. Number 1, identify the key. Number 2, identify your chords, your chord progression, guys. So guys, once you get trained on how to hear the key and the chords, then you can begin to play Kompa. How do you do that? Start playing and practicing different Kompa songs and figuring it out on your own, guys. So what do I like to do? So one thing we have to learn in Kompa is how to chake. And how do you chake? It's all about rhythm, like doing an offbeat tapping of the notes. I'm going to show you what I do when I'm chaking. You see how that sounds good? So if I was playing live, I can do that and I sound like I know what I'm doing. If you never played Kompa before, I'm gonna slow it down for you. So we're gonna get into the chake and then how to use certain sounds and solos and pads and stuff like that. So what did I do? I went boom, boom. And all of this is what? My C chord. So when I'm on C, C is only for the first 2 seconds. So I do this. I do C, E, and I tap the inverted C twice. And then I walk up. This is only my C. I'm only playing with the C notes, which is C, E, and G. So let's do it again. And then I know I'm going to F, so I go. I don't even have to do the full F. I could just press F and A. And then I do the same thing on G. I go D, G, And the same thing on F again. So what I like to do when I'm chaking is press 2 notes, then I tap with my right hand, then I just keep walking up and down. Then I go, then I do it again on G. So there's so many different ways of chaking. You could even do it this way where. So chaking is really a mixer of walking up and down. It's really a mix of walking up and down your chord and tapping notes with your right hand. That's a mix of that, guys. That's all chaking is. I have lessons straight on chaking on my YouTube channel. But listen, after chaking, what else can we do to this beat, guys, in playing kompa? So you learn how to chake, you can accompany a track. Now let's see if you know how to solo to a beat like this. So if you had to solo to a beat like this. Why do I keep tapping the 5? This is something that opened my mind big time with kompa. The 5, which is G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 is not only in C, but it's also in G. So I can keep hitting the 5. The 5, I can hit it at any time during the song, especially the first few seconds. So when you're soloing, you can always go back to the 5. And remember what I told you about the passing chord being F? F is in the middle. So this is another tip I have to give you. If you have a passing chord, you can do the same pattern with it. And I'm going to show you what I mean. Let's start to solo. We're going to make this sound good. So right now, I know F, I'm hitting F twice. So what can I do to the F to make this sound good? So you see what I did there? F, F, C, A, F, F, C, A. That's still a part of my F chord. All of these are a part of my F chord. So I can change the other 2 patterns to whatever I want to make it sound good. So watch this, guys. We know D is a part of A and G. Watch what I'm gonna do. This is gonna sound good. You see how groovy that sounded, guys? I'm just playing with all the notes in between the D, but I'm still using my F major as my passing chord. Now, I know I did that pretty fast. We're going to slow it down. I'm going to slow it down so you guys can understand how to solo on a kompa beat. So we know our key is C. We know our chord is C. F, G, F. So we learned that in chaking, we can tap and walk. It's all about tapping and walking. Tap. Just tapping and walking. And we know with soloing, remember the key I told you? Your passing chord, which is F. You can do any type of pattern with it when you're on the F. And then when you're going to G, you can do just walk up the notes, then you go back to F again. So soloing is very simple as long as you're staying in your chord. Now there's a lot of ways to solo where you can add the second note. Like instead of just a regular, you can add this second note in C, which is D. So you see how nice that sounds? And you can do the same thing in G. So that second note makes it sound even better, guys. And you see what I'm doing fast with my fingers? It just takes practice, guys. It's very simple. You can learn anything in kompa. So, in soloing, remember, your passing chord repeats. You can do the same passing chord over and over again. You can do the same style, same rhythm, and then your other notes, you can do whatever you want. So that's the good thing about soloing with kompa. A lot of times your passing chord repeats, and you can freestyle with that. And what's another thing when you're soloing? So we're gonna do that. And when you're soloing, I'm gonna give you another tip for soloing, because I have a lot of lessons on how to solo. I'm gonna give you one more tip when soloing before we go to our next phase. So we learned that our passing chord, we can do a can do a simple pattern. So one other tip is you can add the second note to your chords. I'm gonna show you. You see the second notes? So I'm adding the second note to each one. So watch what I do with this solo, and I'm gonna add second note. Watch it. You see how good that sounded, adding that second note? Now let's do something crazy. Let's move some of the notes up. Some of the notes in C instead of ba da da da. Let's just take this low C out and put it up here. You see how different that sounds? So watch what I do here. We're about to get to the C. And you can do the same thing with your G. Take out this G and start on the second. So soloing is very simple if you start playing with the second note, if you start playing with your passing chord. So Kompa can be very simple, guys. And another thing you can do with a groove like this, you can play with pads like huff stuff or like. You see how good that sounds? And some people like to add guitars to it, like. So what do we learn, guys? It's very important. In starting Kompa, you need to identify the key. That comes through practice and listening. Sometimes you can kind of train yourself to see what key does to start on and you look for it. How do you know what key a song is? Make sure when you find it, if you're a beginner at the keyboard, make sure when you find the key, you do the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If it sounds like it fits, then you're in the right key. And let's go ahead and see. So the next thing we learn, guys, is the chord progression. It's C, F, G, F. So it's a 1, 4, 5, 4. So learn the number system too. It's 7 numbers here. 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 7 numbers. And another thing we learn is when you're soloing, well, when you're choking, it's really tapping and walking up and down the same notes in your chord. That's all choking is. When you're soloing, guys, remember, guys, when you're soloing, you always have to kind of see, what is my passing chord? Could I repeat the same pattern with that? Watch this. You can repeat the same thing because F is our passing chord. And we can add second notes to it. Let's just add the second. You see how I add the second to the F? So remember, guys, those are key things. If you start practicing those tips, you can get started in Kompa in no time. Remember, I have a Kompa course. I have tons of content on YouTube. Go ahead and like and subscribe. If you need more practice beats, go to kompakeyboardschool.com for solo sounds and everything you need. This is Roland Blazay signing out.
Something that's good for me.